Okay, so the next element we're going to talk about is networking, and that's creating, connecting, and the most important thing is following up.
Right, and so within the creating aspect, right, and what we're creating the time, right, and we're dedicating the effort and we're dedicating the energy to get out there and actually meet people, to establish the connections, right, and whether it be in job fairs and expos and hiring events and, you know, everything from communities to employers to industries to every element, you know, is constantly trying to come up with new ways to get out, well, to get out and find the new employees that they're looking for. And so within that, it's like a 50-50 deal. You know, it means you have to put in it, and we go back to that calendar, right? Mm-hmm. And what we can do, we can search and look within, you know, the area, and don't limit your radius. Don't limit. I mean, if you're going to limit by anything, limit yourself to an industry. Make that your only limit that you want to put on it. Okay. You know, because missing an ideal opportunity that you may have because it's not within a radius of what you were looking for, or you're focusing down and channeling in on well, I want to live in this area, I want to be in this area, you know, then you're going to be limited to what's in that area. You know, and we've been down that road. I remember when I was first getting out of the military, I thought, you know, man, Dayton, Ohio is the birthplace of aviation. There's going to be tons of work. There's going to be tons of job. And it ended up being the complete polar opposite, right? You know, right. So that's one of the deals with that. But every opportunity that you're given needs to be considered a networking opportunity. Oh, yeah. You know, and focusing on people and what they do and their aspects, you know, and creating that possibility of what may be down the road. And there, you know, people come out and they say, well, you know, most jobs are given through networking. Most jobs are awarded through networking. Most jobs are, you know, and I've got this friend, or I've got this buddy, or, you know, I know this person, and they've got this job, and they know about this position. And it's true, you know. I mean, to sit there and be naive and say it's not true is exactly that. It would be naive. Well,
also, I want to add to that, I think the most important thing is, you know, advertising that you're looking. I know you could do that on your LinkedIn profile, you know, to really advertise you're actively looking. But, you know, when you're connecting with somebody and you find out that, you know, maybe you're at the coffee shop and you know, find out, you're talking to somebody, talk to them about what they do. Right. You know, people like talking about themselves, but talking about what they do, and maybe you can, you know, plug yourself in that position. It's just, networking is not just, you know, a job fair. It's not just, I mean, it's everything you do. Right. It may be your neighbor, just anything. I connect with recruiters all over the aviation industry on a daily basis, and go out and reach out and communicate with them. You know, and it's not as intimidating, or you know, it's not that people are untouchable, or it's so they don't care, they're not going to notice me, they won't, you know, if you're cordial, you're polite, you send them a polite message. You know, and what exactly your intention is because even though they may not have the answer you're looking for, but they're also communicating with recruiters. Yeah. And that was one of the reasons, you know, I created the aviation industry recruiters group. Right. You know, and I took an opportunity and brought together recruiters all over LinkedIn, brought them into one group for the aviation industry, whether it's fixed wing, rotary wing, or any other aspect, was to sit there and bring them all together in the one area, you know, where it's like, hey, so maybe you don't have the right fit for this person, but maybe you know somebody else that does. And that is the element that will get you to where you want to be, you know. Well, speaking of that group, you know, that group has grown fast. And the thing of it is, I think it's filled with more recruiters than there's not very many applicants. So it's one of those things to reach out, you know, if we want to be part of that group, you know, reach out and search that group and be part of it. And if you want to be even more part of managing that group too, I mean, I know we're kind of looking for a manager for that group. So if you want to kind of step up to the plate and be part of that, that's something that you could be part of something bigger and kind of manage that sort of group too. So, right. Yeah. And you know, and it's one aspect that is utilized. The third and final one, which is the follow-up, and this is the hardest one because all
sales, which is what you are. And if you have any misconception
You're
of what
selling
your network, you're
yourself.
selling
Yeah,
yourself,
selling yourself, yeah.
and that's what it is.
Yeah.
You know, it's just the same thing when you go through like the salary negotiation and people don't understand that. You're trading your hours for dollars. You're putting a value on what your time is.
Right, right.
You know, and people don't quite comprehend. They go around like, oh, please give me a job, like they're begging. And it's like, no, you have to do a complete reversal of that. You've got to set your mind in the state of, guess what I have that I could provide you that you need.
Right, right.
You know.
Yeah, it's a bringing it from a side of confidence. But following up is like the absolute most important thing that I think most people don't do. And I know as far as me, when I, recently had, 3 job interviews for the same job, I mean, that's just the tier level. But I personally sent a handwritten letter. I bought the stationery, I wrote it out, and I found out the mailing addresses because it was, remote, so I had to send it out to different people in different locations. But I think that's the most important key element, is following up with that handwritten letter. Wouldn't you agree on that?
Yeah, I would. And one of the things that I have created is how to come up with a routine, with my own routine of how your networking occurs, right? So to put it in almost a process or a sequence, where I go through, like the, hey, this is me. Hey, this is what I do. I got an idea of what you do, and any questions that I might come up or anything else, and the email game is, every time, is that follow-up at the end. Always offering anything, either if I can help you or you can help me, or is there any way that anything else that you need, please let me know.
Yeah.
Right? And when I meet somebody, the same thing, if it's face-to-face and I get a business card or whatever, you know what? I shoot them an email or I shoot them a message on LinkedIn, or I let them know, hey, man, it was a pleasure meeting you. If there's anything that you need at any time, let me know. And that stuff may not pan out in the beginning, and it's just like any other sales.
Yeah.
You may not need it now. It may be 2 or 3 months from now is where it may actually pay dividends. So if you maintain that contact, and that's that follow-up, that it may come into play. Everything is dynamic in this world, and everything changes. And it may not even be for you. It may be for a friend. It may be for another colleague. It may be for somebody that all of a sudden, guess what, tapped you out of the blue, who's transitioning now and says, hey, man, do you know anybody in this area?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, yeah, I do. I still keep contact with this person. So that follow-up that's why it's so pertinent and important.
Something that actually came to mind that I just remembered that you do that I forgot about is, when you connect with somebody on LinkedIn, you actually have kind of a scripted thing that you send out. That really says, hey, this is me, this is what I do, what do you do, and that sort of thing. And you want to talk about a little bit more about that?
So right, I have, and it's a pre-written, little short message that I send to people, and depending on, I have different areas or different aspects that I'm working on, or different projects that I'm working on, and I'll come up with that, and it'll be a copy and paste. And I send it out to them, and then what I do is if they reply back, some people don't, and it happens.
Right.
And some people, even that, I might send a follow-up. If it's somebody that I really want to connect with, then it's like, hey, you know what, I really need to talk to you.
Yeah, right.
And honesty is best policy, so it's like, I really need to talk to you.
Right.
I'm really interested in what you have or what you do, or a service or whatever, and so it's that the copy and pasting of your introduction, what I did. So, for example, on my phone, I keep it under my notes, and under my notes, I could just copy, open up LinkedIn real quick, message somebody, I could paste it, right? I do a little bit of editing, and that's it. Send it off, it's on its way.
Right.
Because the hardest part that I've come across, and people, if you played with LinkedIn long enough, right? If you have enough connections where you get lost in your connections, then what happens is you connect with somebody and you lose that moment of when you connected.
That window, yeah.
Yeah, there is a very narrow window of when you actually connected with them.
Yeah.
Right? And so most of the time where I am connecting with people is not sitting down on a computer or sitting down behind a desk. Probably 98% of the time is when I'm actually on my phone. And it's when it sends me a message that I've now connected with this person, I go back and I look and I go, oh yes, this is what I want to, this is why I connected with this. There's a purpose behind me connecting with them. This is what it is, and I need to take care of that now, which is where to have your phone set up and ready for that follow-up is the most important thing that you could you can do.
Yeah.
It's the same thing when you're, when we sit here and talk about the networking, but segueing into the contacting, which we'll get into next, is within those contacts of how you maintain them.
Absolutely. So next we will be talking about contacts.